Steelers Nation, happy Wednesday. I'm Tyler Feldman. 8-year-old me is pinching myself. Look at the man in the middle right now. We've got Slash on the show tonight.
Yes, sir. I'm here to bring it in for you guys. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first show. So to have an opportunity to be a part of it, hey, let's make some magic.
Ben Bobick, where are you? I know you're somewhere killing yourself. I told you I was bringing Cordell on. Let's go here on this Pittsburgh Steelers Squad show.
Wave those terrible towels. It's the Steelers Squad. Everything Pittsburgh Steelers every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Steel City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the steel curtain to the next generation, the Steelers Squad show starts now.
Yes, it does. This is the Steelers Squad show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And what a special evening we have for all of you Steelers Nation tonight. The man in the shades, the cool cat, Kordell Stewart. Wayne Gandy making some magic, texted me this morning and told me, hey, guess what? We're going to have Kordell Stewart on the show. Just walked around with a little bit more pep in my step today, knowing that was the case. Kordell, what is up? Welcome to the show.
Man, as you can see, I'm sweating. I just came out of the weight room. So excuse me if I'm wipe myself down so I don't look too shiny on the show. But man, I just, coaching high school, having a chance while coaching, not making it to the playoffs, having a chance to see Big G doing this thing, color commentary with his partner on the show. And other than that, just being a father and playing a lot of golf, man. I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, we see the Instagram videos, and I guess the weight room could help Steelers fans. Maybe if Aaron Rodgers can't go, is that what we're talking about here, or is that a little bit too crazy?
It's not crazy, but it'll be tough. It'll be tough. It will be tough. I must say there will be a lot of hamstring pulling, just putting the tugs on and the shoulder pads. It's about 3 or 4 sizes bigger now, so I don't know.
That's the train comes a little bit harder than I guess, right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Big
does.
G,
yes, it does.
Big G, what is up? Thanks for getting your buddy Kordell Stewart on the show. That's a little bit of magic from you right now.
Yeah, he's the first guy I thought about when you offered me the opportunity to bring guys on. You'll be amazed. You make a lot of friendships in your time in football. But all those friendships aren't always reliable.
Right.
You reach out to guys and you got to hold your breath all day that they are going to show up for you. So I went through my little list of 2 or 3 guys. I know if I reach out and they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And Cordell was the first and only person I text. I text him, wait on his response. And then I didn't have to ask anybody else. We'll get to those rest of those jokers down the road. But thank you, Kordell, for coming on and making me look good today.
Yes, that's right. Always, man. You know how we do. We take care of one another, man. That's what it's about.
I love it. John Malesko 9745 commenting, Kordell, man, I had your poster on my wall, Slash in all caps. As you have continued to move farther and farther away from your days as a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kordell, do you give yourself some time to look back at how special those times were with Big G and the rest of those teams that you had there in Pittsburgh?
Man, it was that our time together when G came in, he was needed for sure. He had my blind side, and a lot of guys was leaving. There were a few years where we had some great runs. In 95, we went to a Super Bowl. 96, we went to the playoffs. 97, we went to the AFC Championship game. And then coordinators started going out, players started leaving, and G fell into our lap to protect my blind side. And, we had some challenging years, but we had some great moments. And it got to a point where in the latter part of our time together, we ended up going to an AFC Championship game and came literally that close. But the time that we had together was unbelievable. We had a thing between myself and a couple other guys like Jerome and Wayne Gandy and Dwayne Washington, and Kevin Henry, to where every time we travel on the road, we wear some nice suits, we take a picture, suited and booted. And we
who
always
won? No, tell him who won, though. Tell him who won.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I did. Thank you. It was a tight race. I won't lie to you. It was a tight race. We kind of bit off each other a little bit in the sense of style and colors and combinations. Kevin did come out with the titanium suitcase. I don't think no one ever beat that one. But those were days, man, where honestly, times where we were trying to make it work, and we did a lot of times. And the bad times drew us closer, but the great times allowed us to celebrate a lot and cause moments like this to really come about. So it was some great moments and times in Pittsburgh. All we had was each other, truthfully. We all came from different backgrounds. Wayne's from Florida. I'm literally from New Orleans. Jerome's from Detroit. Wayne Gandy's from Dwayne Washington is from North Carolina and Raleigh-Durham. Kevin Henry's from Mississippi. So you got guys from all parts of the world bringing their flavor and style to the table. And we kind of took care of one another as brothers, as we always do.
And Kordell, I saw on Twitter, maybe it was last week, a Steelers fan, a guy who tweets a lot about the Steelers, said you were ahead of your time. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. 48-29 as a Steelers starting quarterback, 2 AFC championship games, single season leader in touchdown runs with 11, first 2010 QB season with 20 touchdown passes and 10 of which were runs. First Steelers QB to complete over 60% of your passes in a single season. First NFL QB to record an 80-yard run. Only NFL player in history with at least 75 touchdown passes, 35 touchdown runs, and 5 touchdown receptions. Finished 4th in the league's MVP voting in 2001 through the final touchdown pass at Three Rivers Stadium, for the first touchdown at Heinz Field, first starting quarterback to win a playoff game at Heinz Field. So you were at the Ring of Honor with Wayne not too long ago this past season. I feel like if the Steelers are doing their due diligence, it might be time for you to join that club at some point in the near future.
I mean, those stats you ran off, not too bad for a wide receiver, as they sometimes say. I had to throw that jab in there just a little bit. Throw that jab in there. Yeah, man. When you get a chance to see the guys that you play with, like Joey Porter, Richard was the only one I had a chance to play with. Wayne and I, we watched Joey from when he was a little rugrat, man, trying to figure it out, starting off on special teams to becoming our team motivator. Before the game, and some things he would say after the game, and always a fun time with Joey, man. Had a chance to meet Ben, spent time with Pouncey on some of the events we had with the Steelers. But when you see those guys go up there and the things that they've accomplished, well-accomplished players, Super Bowl winners, MVPs of the teams that they were a part of, made great runs into the season, winning divisions, championships, to go into the postseason, and Pouncey. To get my name into that category and be amongst those groups of guys. And if you go back to a time in which we had the electronic football game, remember the one, G, where we had the men and you put them on the machine, you turn the electricity on it, and you put the penny under the base of the player, and you take the little ball and you throw it. And, I remember the Lynn Swans and the stalwarts and the late Franco Harrises and the Terry Bradshaws and the Mean Joe Greens with the Coca-Cola commercial. All of those dudes are in there. And so I'm not even speaking about my guys that I know that I play with. I'm speaking more about the guys that, when I remember the Steelers, those are the people that I remember growing up as a little rugrat. So if that were to happen, man, come on, dude, that would, we all want to be celebrated. Let's not get it twisted, right? We're macho guys. We make great money. We have success. We're entrepreneurs in our own right. We're fathers, with family members, brothers, sisters, all that good stuff that we have in our families. But one thing we all want to do is be appreciated and acknowledged. And once that happens, it takes a lot of the air out of our bodies, allows us to breathe a little bit, feel appreciated, and you get a chance to go on about your way. But if it doesn't happen, it'd still be the same way. But it would take a little weight off my back, in a sense of all of the great work that was done, because not too many was able to play receiver the way I did full time, and not too many would be able to be a quarterback full time ever in the history of the game. Coming from playing quarterback to playing receiver, and then coming from receiver to being a starting quarterback, that's pretty remarkable when you look back on it. Now that I'm a coach and I can analyze players, I'm looking back, I'm trying to find another me out there. And when I'm coaching,
any luck?
It's tough, man. I get. Let me tell you something, man. When you're a former player, and I know Big G when he's in a booth, sometimes you have to digress in your mind a little bit on your expectations of what you see sometimes, because even though the kids are giving effort and you see them being in certain places, you'd be like, if he only would have placed his foot right here, or if he only would have threw it a little bit more anticipation. And we have to remember it's high school. So these kids, they're really trying to, be some form of a jug that's just want to be filled with a lot of knowledge, and given a chance to just be themselves. And one thing was given to me from the guys that I had success with in Chan Gailey's Mike Malarkey, is they truly allowed me to be myself. And I think those are the years that I really had the tremendous amount of success I had. So it would be great to go in if it were to happen. Hopefully it does. Big G will be there for sure. If you'd like to come, I'll do my best to get you in there too, so you can, go get that number 10 jersey and squeeze in that thing. But we'll try to make it work. It'll be great if it happens, fellas. It'll be great if it happens.
Wayne, why do you think Kordell's deserving of that? And what are maybe some stories that are podcast appropriate that really highlight why Slash, not just a great player on the field and kind of changing the game and the way in which the quarterback position as we see currently today, 25 years ago, but also just the type of person and player that would make him more than deserving of that honor?
I'm huge on professionalism. I believe that's one of the categories that get lost all beyond. If you're in the NFL, you had talent. It oozed out of Kordell. He had the size, the speed, and what won me over really was that first year, the professionalism as he handled the turnover and the patience he showed as they were trying to they didn't know kind of what they wanted to do in that year when I got there. We had Mike Tomczak in there, and they were trying to figure. We all felt like this was the piece, but then you bring in Kevin Gilbride with whatever that was he was trying to run that season. But we won't go deep into that.
Please don't. That'll take a long time. That'll take a long time.
But I really love the guys, and I'm drawn to the guys that can always handle those moments and be professional and still prepare and be ready. We always, when you play football, like any sport, you are really one play away. But sometimes, you should already been in there. And I think we as players, we knew Kordell should have been in a position, but he wasn't one of those guys that sit over there and far away from the huddle or a me guy. He was still there. And that's why when he did get inserted full time, you can rally around because you have a distance yourself. You're not over there on the clipboard whispering, hey, I would have thrown something else. You'll be amazed what happens over there with some of those guys.
Seriously.
They really will try to chip on you when they feel like you're in their spot. But the professionalism outside of like you said, sometimes you are a little before your time. And sometimes in sports like football, where the people, they don't know what to do. Now he would be perfect. Mm-hmm. There's schemes and things that they know what to do, but he was in that window where you don't know, how do we run an offense with a multi-talented guy? And now there's coordinators out there, there's organizations that's willing to be patient. You see that with Baltimore. It was the same thing with Kordell, but no one knew how. And fans and organizations wouldn't give that leeway to let him be him. And as he just said, Chan Gailey, Mike Malarkey were guys that let him be him. And that's when he shined, especially, as you said, in that 2001 season.
And to that point, that's why I truly believe part of Kordell, your legacy in the game of football as a whole, is elevating and creating a greater space for the quarterback position to be more than just a one-dimensional passer. I think that is a large part of your legacy, which we will continue discussing starting with the second quarter here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. The first quarter, it is up. Yes, we have Slash on the show tonight. Later in the show, we'll dive more into the coaching that he's doing right now. But coming up next, we've got to talk about the NFL Combine. That's starting Thursday in Indianapolis. The Steelers, what will they do at the quarterback position? We have just the guy to discuss that. What about some of the other positions? How impactful is the Combine for draft stock for some of these players? We've got Slash. We've got Big G on the Squad Show. We're back right after this. But first, welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, and Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. I'm not overthinking this. I'm drafting Peach Mango number one. From the first sip, you get that ripe, juicy peach up front. Then mango rolls in with smooth tropical depth that rounds everything out without overpowering it. It's layered, it's balanced, it's got great presence without being too heavy. It's a franchise player type energy. Now, if we're highlighting a sweeter flavor, I'm going Confetti Craze. It's a party in a can, perfect for when you want something a little different from fruit-forward profiles. You want edge? Sour apple shows up loud and proud. Hawaiian breeze, passion fruit, orange, guava. This one feels like instant vacation mode. And the sleeper pick for me that I'm most excited about, pomegranate. Deep, slightly tart, richer fruit profile. Oh, and still a top contender is always going to be strawberry banana for me. 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. 5-Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned too. So find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, second quarter. Here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show, I'm Tyler Feldman. Pleased to be joined, as always, by Wayne Big G Gandy. Now we've got a nickname for you. We've just been calling you Wayne, like the whitest boy in the room. Like, hello, Wayne. How are you doing?
Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Yeah, how are you? We've got Kordell / Stewart in the middle. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday night with us. Wayne, thanks for, generating the text to make this happen. We were talking about your legacy, Kordell, but I think we've got to kind of shift over to the Combine, a little bit more Steelers talk. Quarterback's still a big question mark. Omar Khan spoke Tuesday, and he said the door is still open for Aaron Rodgers to return in 2026, but that there's no firm deadline, and he expects clarity sooner rather than later. But at this point, not having that clarity makes me a little bit concerned as a Steelers fan. What will they be doing at the quarterback position? What is your thoughts when it comes to this situation?
It's a tough one because the Steelers haven't been in this position to try to find a quarterback in so long. I remember when I got there, it was Neil O'Donnell. Then Mike Tomczak came in and was serviceable for a year in 96. Excuse me. And I was doing part-time work with him in 96. And then 97, I took over, and that lasted up until 2001, 2002. Then it was a bridge of Tommy Maddox for a year. And then they found Ben Roethlisberger. And then the rest was history. The Steelers they're in unfamiliar territory in the sense of security at that spot. Aaron Rodgers, I saw him scramble in the last playoff game one time, and I was like, that's the dude I need to see. But by the time I said that's the dude I need to see, he only gained 3 yards, and his feet moved about 100 times, and he didn't get anywhere, which means he's getting a little old. And, I think it's time to really try to find a young kid. I mean, we never like to use the word rebuilding. We know that. But we have to find someone that's either experienced. Like I heard something about a Kyler Murray. I saw that kind of festering around on the networks a little bit, to maybe someone else coming out of draft. I'm not sure. But if you hear Aaron Rodgers' name, I'm guaranteeing it's because of the relationship between he and Mike McCarthy, because of the work that they had an opportunity to do together in Green Bay. So would it be a great thing to have Aaron Rodgers back? If that's what we need to have, I'm sure that'll work. And plus, it'll be the system that he knows. He'll be able to be a plug and play type situation. He'll be able to help all the players out, receivers in particular, they're young or old, tight ends, the callings of the plays, being able to teach the old linemen, and just be a general on the field the way he knows how to be, without hoping someone can call the plays the right way, as it seems as if it was for him this past season. So if he were to come back, I mean, it obviously means that he's healthy and he's well and he's willing to come back and really produce the way we need him to. And you better believe Coach McCarthy is going to, being that he's a quote unquote Yinzer, as I heard him say when he got introduced as a new head coach, he understands the Pittsburgh way for sure. And I guarantee you he'll get the best out of those guys, especially if he has the right quarterback at the helm. So it's just a matter of figuring out what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, but I don't think they need to wait. I think they still need to get someone that's, whether it's middle age to young, if that's what they choose to do, and get ready to start there. And if Aaron Rodgers comes back, that's just a plus, I think, for the offense and the team.
Yeah, I agree. Wayne, what do you think about what Omar Khan said Tuesday about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I think regardless of what Aaron Rodgers, Omar, and Coach McCarthy are in a great position to go ahead and make a decision on how they're going to approach filling that position. And anytime I'm still of the kind of the old school where you have a guy, you have Alex Smith, and you draft a Patrick Mahomes and just sit over there 8-10 games but every quarterback like Aaron Rodgers isn't willing to do that. But I love that situations for quarterbacks where they don't have to feel that day one pressure. I just get you in there by Thanksgiving, or if at all. And I think that's what the Steelers are when you bring Aaron Rodgers in. I don't think you bring him back and then you think, oh, this is just going to be a wash season. He still is a guy that if the other parts, like last year, other parts work around him, you still have a chance, but he's not your future. So you have to look at Will Howard. Do you want to invest in him? With that 21st pick we talked about, Ty Simpson from Alabama. Is he a guy that you really feel like, you can build around? He was hot before the season. So, but with Aaron Rodgers, I think that Cordell hit it on the head. It's all about that relationship. If Mike McCarthy wasn't the head coach, I doubt that we would even be worried if Aaron Rodgers was coming back or not.
Yeah.
But you kind of feel like maybe you could get another year out of him in a system that he already knows. With a coach he already has a relationship, good or bad. It's always good to see a familiar face in front of you when you're in those locker rooms, when you're in the meeting rooms.
I just long for the Steelers to get back to knowing who their quarterback is at this point during the offseason. So crossing my fingers for that. Something else that Omar Khan addressed was acknowledging roster weaknesses last season at wide receiver, saying, quote, "We weren't good enough overall." So, Slash, you having played that position so well, where do you think the Steelers need to go at that position to just bring in more weapons for Aaron Rodgers or whomever is playing the quarterback position?
I mean, the question is, who is your number one receiver? And I think if you could ask the question of who's the number one receiver, I think that's when we can start building around that. We had Metcalf, who I'm assuming we thought was the number one receiver, and then all of a sudden Washington, who was a tight end, he became the number two receiver. And it's like where and I'm not questioning anything. It's just you just want to know, like, who's my number one? And you have to make sure the guy is disciplined enough to know not to put his team at jeopardy, to respond to stuff that's going on in the stands and things of that nature, because we never were in those situations when I was there in Pittsburgh. Wayne knows this. That didn't happen. I mean, you could have lost your job, with that type of temperament, if you're the number one guy on the roster at that position. I think once you can find the number one, and I don't think they have a number one on the team right now, to be honest with you. There isn't a number one. Once you can find a number one, you allow Washington to be that matchup problem at tight end, put his hand on the ground and have a linebacker cover that body. And if you choose to move him to the outside because of personnel mix change-ups to cause them to have the wrong personnel out on the field to cover that type of talent, you can win, but it can't be your go-to. It can't be your go-to. You need to have someone that can actually play off of Metcalf or Metcalf play off of them and be able to have Washington come in and be an adequate player that can get you in the red zone like people may not like hearing this, like a Gronkowski in the red zone, where you have matchup problems with strong safeties trying to cover that big body running down the seam inside the 30-yard line to getting inside the 20 in the red zone. And I think you need to get about two good quality receivers, whether it's through free agency or in the draft, and get these guys to come in to start working, because the O-line, I think, plays adequate enough. I think we have a running game that we can work with. It's just the commitment to being able to get and convert 3rd and 3. Convert 3rd and 4 to 5. And you want to be able to not always have to do it with the running game, but work off the running game with a little play action pass, but have a go-getter of the ball in the trenches to get those mediocre, those little small, moderate little catches of 3 yards, and the yak catches, the way you catch it, long handoffs, and he turn upfield for 4 or 5 yard gain, and it's easy. But when you don't know, we may have it on the roster and we just maybe not used it as well last season. But we have to figure out who's the number one. I think once you figure that out, I think that's when you have an opportunity to build around that. I've always had a number one in Pittsburgh, always, when I was there as a starter. Yancey Thigpen, it became whether it was Plexico Burrs or Hines Ward, whichever one wanted to be the number one that season, it always became somebody was my go-to guy. Too high, I knew where to go. Single high, I knew where to go. And sometimes vice versa, I knew where to go. When it came to Mark Bruner being my tight end too, a big time blocker, guy who can catch those nasty, physical, grindy type catches and be bloody and score some touchdowns for you. Those old school ways of playing ball kind of got lost in the matrix over the last couple of years. I think not having the proper identity that we needed to see in order to have a chance to go to the next level, as I'm speaking on, far as getting that number one guy. If you can get that number one receiver, I promise you, your life will be much easier when it comes to play calling.
100%. And that's why I'm glad Omar Khan not only addressed the roster weaknesses, acknowledged those weaknesses, but also talked about the draft capital and flexibility, Wayne, that the Steelers have. 12 draft picks in April. And the draft's in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a blast. They could trade up, trade down, package picks. They need to make some moves, though. But Omar Khan acknowledging all of this tells me that he's going to be aggressive because he knows the Steelers lack identity at wide receiver 1, lack identity in all these certain areas. And so for your vantage point, what does Omar Khan need to take away from the combine this week to solidify what he's going to do, Wayne?
He needs to be aggressive, as you alluded to, especially once you get out that first round. 12 picks, he needs to go up and get guys that he feels like can fill those spots. All season long, I know sometimes people get the circus catch confused with being the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number one receiver is a consistent guy that can run all the routes. He gets you balls. That's the thing with DK Metcalf. I've said this to you, Tyler, and Ben and other guys on the show. I thought that DK wasn't the number one in Seattle. And sometimes you get those amazing plays confused, but that's what the number 2 does. He makes these miraculous big play down the field, but your number 1 might not shine as bright, but he's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He's that go-to. He's the comfort blanket for the quarterback. And that's why I said, I don't know that we had a number 1. Kordell just echoed that sentiment, and that's where you got to be looking and be aggressive with those draft picks, maybe even to move out of 21 and to move up. And I think that's where Omar is going to show his value, not sitting pat on anybody. If guys start getting off the board that you had on your board, then go up and or at least attempt to try to move up, because having 12 draft picks, that is what stats for.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to have 12 draft picks. You're not going to keep all 12, so you need to move up. You need to package.
Yeah, you do.
And this team, because we have a talented tight end situation. We have running backs that are serviceable, and they make a great number 1 combined. That if you can bring Gainwell back, Kenneth Gainwell back. At him and Warren, they make a great tandem. But at the receiver spot and other spots, I just like to see Omar Khan be aggressive and go. If it's time to get a linebacker, go get the next best linebacker on the board.
But answer this question: Isn't Coach McCarthy's offense like a West Coast style offense, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's mandatory to get a number 1. The Sterling Sharps played in those systems way back when in the Green Bay when it came to West Coast. Think of Jerry Rice, right? Think of T.O. even when he got his opportunity. You always had a guy that can stretch the field. He had talent and he had speed. Now, it doesn't mean it's a first round guy. It doesn't mean that. It just means you just need to see the it factor and do the eye test of identifying this dude can beat man-to-man coverage. But most importantly, when he needs to go and get it, he's where the quarterback needs to be. Hines Ward, I give you him as an example. Yancey Thigpen may be 5'11", a little bit taller maybe, but his catch radius made him seem like he was 7 feet tall. Hines Ward can have 3 to 4 people around him. He said, I don't care, throw it. I can throw it blindly. It would be on time because he would be exactly where he needs to be. And when you have players that you know you can make those throws with anticipation, which is what we're supposed to do, but most important, throwing in those tight windows, and you know he's going to be able to take the hit and get back up, and you get a chance to go again. If you can't get that in Pittsburgh, when it comes to identity, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding because we haven't had that in Pittsburgh when it comes to being a tough. Because remember, that's an ingredient that we're missing, right? You got to be tough. Mentally, physically, emotionally to play in that city, and knowing when it comes to the latter part of the season, particularly in the month of October and November, when things start really changing, weather gets cold and it plays into our favor, especially coming in the Heinz, Aquasher, correct me if I'm wrong, stadium. I was about to say,
hey, we still call it Heinz. Hey, that's what we grew up with. I've got Heinz ketchup in my fridge. I'm still gonna rock with Heinz occasionally.
Hell, I was about to say Three Rivers if you really want to get spicy.
You really want to go back.
And so, if you don't be able to have that type of ingredients and identity, you're fooling yourself. You're just throwing money away. And the Steelers have never been an organization to do it. I don't ever foresee it ever happening that way. We're just having hypothetical conversations, but you got to find that number one. I think when you find that number one, it puts Washington in a position, to me, to play to his strengths and not to something that we need to have to help us. When you get into that position, you're playing desperate, and then it's going to be tough for you to really be able to execute.
Hey, spoken like a true coach. Speaking of coaching, after the break, it's halftime here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. What is Kordell Stewart up to? We've got to know. Steelers Nation needs to know what Kordell Stewart is up to. We'll discuss that next, and we'll also dive into the impact of the Combine and maybe what these two former NFL veterans think of the Combine and just how much pressure Omar Khan, I think, is under to really get this draft right. That's all still to come here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. But first, as the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy work days, cold winter nights, and packed schedules, having an easy, reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference. That's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door with easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great. They're rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. And it's easy to see why. Meals come ready to fit your schedule. 30-minute recipes, oven-ready trays, or quick lunches. More than 30 weekly options, including family-sized meals and different dietary choices. Recipes are simple but feel elevated, even a restaurant quality, with dishes co-created by chefs like Gordon Ramsay. Everything arrives pre-portioned, so there's less prep, less mess, and no wasted food. Saves time and money, too. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering listeners 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockedon. That's homechef.com/lockedon for 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. All right, second half, third quarter here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. He's Wayne Gandy. He's Kordell Stewart. I'm Tyler Feldman. Christopher Carter is at the Combine in Indianapolis. Ben Bobick is unavailable tonight. And Ben, who is a huge, huge Steelers fan, Kordell, grew up in Pittsburgh just like me. I texted him this morning. I said, hey, Ben, don't be mad. Wayne just texted me, Kordell Stewart's coming on the show tonight. And I just get in all caps from Ben, no, with like 18 O's. The guy is beside himself. He will be all right, but you don't understand this guy. So wish he was here, but he's not, and we're glad you're here, Kordell. What are you up to? You're coaching. What's the latest in your life? I know you're hitting the gym, getting your sweat on before the show, which we love to see.
Yeah, I'm a volunteer offensive coordinator at a school called South Forsyth High School, which is up in Forsyth County, up north, about 45 minutes away from me. I know the Coach James Thompson over there. He used to be over at Tucker High School and Cambridge, I think, also as well. And I met him when I was coaching at North Atlanta with my son, where he used to play. And he left and went to USF and was coaching there and came back and gave me a shout and asked would I come out and help and volunteer and just be an inspiration for the kids to help out. But, I tell you what, man, to see these kids work hard, give all the effort that they can, and sometimes they're not pan out to where you want it to pan out, man. You cry your insides out for them because they're doing every single thing you ask. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the beauty of it, right? Is when we played, all of us on here played back in the day, you had those father figures around us that was trying to lead us the right way. We call it tough love, right? To where you get on them and you want them to do a little bit more than what they understand. Because sometimes, in this era of ways of being, it's like, at least you did your best is some things that the parents would say, or you tried, right? And I respectfully say, the people who tried, the people who can't walk on their own, either in wheelchairs or they're on crutches, those are the people who try. But when you are the one that have all your faculties together, right? I need more than just you giving me effort and trying. I need more. Okay. And these kids, they respond. They really, really, really do respond. And, they'll come into the office, and when they make mistakes, they're very connected to the passion and the energy that they need in this era of kids, because they're not like us where fear was kicked in. Back in the day, drinking water in the middle of practice.
Oh.
Come on, man. Are you kidding me? Bringing your own water bottle to the weight room, or man, like really? And then all of a sudden, you have to give into it because the parents will send an email and say how the kid said. And it's like my response is old school. Well, have their asses come to the meetings and watch film with us. Get on the football field. Don't do nothing during the day. No kids, no answering the phone, and come do it with us. And once you come do it with us, you'll understand why when repeating ourselves, as if the coaches didn't repeat themselves with us, right? Even after we made money, Big G, they still was repeating themselves, right? That we want them to get it right the first time. And so again, as I said earlier, you have to reframe yourself a little bit. You have to digress, and let the air out of your body and just turn your head a little bit and say whatever you say for about 2 to 3 seconds and come back and say, good job, even though we know it wasn't, just to get them to come back again and give an effort. But trust me, it's the greatest experience, when it comes to seeing those little kids grow and they develop the way you would like for them to, as close as possible, but they give you the feedback in understanding what it is that you're giving them and how much further along they are, but yet you get a chance to hear them say what it is you're telling them over and over again to let you know they understand. And that part, man, it fills you up when you're playing with the kids in the sense of emotions and excitement and just happy for them to see them out there working, man, because not all of them going to have the talent to be able to play against the Westlakes here in Atlanta, to the Langston Hughes that, Wayne knows about, and all those, Baldazda, all those teams down in the southern part of the state where, they're playing some of the best football you can play in high school football here in Georgia, which we call this the SEC of football when it comes to high school. Kids are tough and strong. So it's fun. It's exciting. I love it. I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. And, we're working right now, getting ready for spring ball, and the kids are getting bigger, stronger, and faster.
Makes me wonder, Wayne, do you have any stories of when Kordell applied some tough love to you, either in practice or in a game?
No, Cordell was always even keel.
Yeah,
he's always an even keel quarterback. He's going to come over. He's going to that professionalism that I talked about. That's how he's going to step to you. It was never offensive or violent. And I don't know that I ever really experienced that kind of quarterback that I played with that would come at you that way. Because times have changed. We could protect ourselves back then. Now cameras everywhere. You have to be mindful of what you say. You have to let the quarterback win, in a sense, in this new league.
Yeah, you do. Real sensitive.
But Kordell was always just one of those guys. He's going to come over and address it, but it's never in that stare you down, wagging your finger kind of way.
Nah, I couldn't do this. And here's the thing. And sometimes the quarterback gets too much credit, and sometimes he get too much blame. You know, it's a balancing act, right? So you take on all the pressures, knowing that the guys up front, there's 5 of those guys, sometimes 6, maybe, 7 guys up there that's trying to protect you. They having to block for Jerome or Amos Zeraway or Chris Fumatumau, whoever was in at the time.
Amos Zeraway and Chris Fumatumau.
Yeah, all those dudes, bro. And so, when you think of that, the John Whitmans, I mean, we go on and on, right, G?
Yeah.
Danny Crowders, I don't want to forget Big 3-5, and Tim Lester, even the late Tim Lester, Richard Huntley, Richard Huntley. And so, when those dudes are doing their job, and they're doing it collectively, your responsibility is to keep the change moving. There's a few times where I wish I could have some of those moments back where the change did continue to move, but holistically, we had a tremendous amount of success. And my job was to make sure that whatever was wrong or whatever was happening, and it wasn't happening as clean because I could, my job was to make it right. It's like the spaghetti noodles and I'm the sauce, right? You cover it up by being able to scramble, step up in the pocket and make a play. If I see trouble coming off the backside, a little too quick sometimes because Wayne didn't get the help that he thought he was going to get, or Marvell Smith on the other side having the same issue, or Jeff Hardings, who's coming from Detroit playing guard. It's his first year being a center when he came in 2001, and no one ever really talked about that. And every time I see him, he always said, "Man, one thing I got to tell you is thank you, because you could have been mad at me many a times, but you never said anything." I'm like, "For what? We all in this thing together. It's not about me, it's about us." And I hurt more not being able to give more. Even if those dudes did make mistakes, I still feel like I could have made it better. That's the pressure I applied on myself. And it caused me to have to stay quiet because I had to be able to see it through my mind's eye or even through what they were doing, to the point where to get too emotional would have taken me off my spot. And I couldn't let them see it, regardless how tough things were. But for me, the game never was tough. For me, the game was always fun. It was just a matter of when there was a mistake, let's hurry up and get back on track again. The longer we stayed off track, the harder it became. And the guys never snapped back. We never had the griping. Truth be told, to be honest, even the receiving core. Some guys may have wished they could have had the ball a couple more times, but only one guy's going to catch it. I'm the only one that really touched the ball more than the center. Or just as many times as the center. But it's just the way the game goes. But we never had that on our team, man. Honestly, we never did. Even through those tough times, where sometimes the fans will let you have it, or sometimes a reporter writes some crazy stuff in the paper, but we never had that in-house. We always kept it steady. We was always ready for the next opportunity, and no one folded. Like the kid said today, no one folded. No one ever folded, not one time. It's just a matter of us getting out there and winning. I think that's why the record that you said with me as a starting quarterback was always good, because the group of guys that we had around each other was doing their part so well, it made my job easy. I just tried not to screw it up.
Wayne, what is one trait of Kordell's that he level-headed, professionalism, but something that Steelers fans didn't necessarily get to see from the outside looking in? What about looking in from the inside? What is something about Kordell that reflects what he's talking about and what you have talked about number 10?
Well, there's many times you give up a sack. He was never, you catch the quarterback throwing the ball, but it was never at the player. I don't know that he ever, if you didn't like Kordell, it was just because you didn't like Kordell. It had nothing to do with that Kordell did something to you. And I don't know that many people that had an issue with him. But he was tough. He was going to run the ball. You know, the thing I love about him, he swears he still can run day one comeback. He swear from the day I met him, he was still 4.36. Like, I don't know. I saw you take off, and but he always swear he had that slash card in his, and he could pull it out anytime.
I tell you what. It's a couple times when I ran so fast sometimes. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I wanted to go back and cheer with the boys, but I was dog tired sometimes, man, when I would take off. I'm serious, dude. It's like, that was one thing I honestly appreciated about the guys is if I did miss someone wide open down the field, which they never still to this day never told me, and I scrambled for 10 to 15 yards or 20 yards, man, we high-fiving, elbow bumping, body hitting, because we just happy that we got the thing going. But when I got loose a couple times, man, it was trouble. It was, you see Jerome with that wide base running through between the tackle. That 36 go from being this wide to that small, going between those, the guards and the tackles. But when I got my chance to cut loose, man, I was trying to take that thing to the house. But sometimes those hammies, boy, them hammies got tight. Sometimes, and that 4.3 turned into about 4.5, 4.6 every once in a while, But we had fun with it, man. I ain't gonna lie. I saw Plexico Burris, I want to say maybe last year sometimes at a golf charity event out in Ocala, Florida, and that was my first time truly seeing Plex. And I talked to him on the phone a couple of times with some extended friends while he was talking, but we were talking about that while we were driving together on the golf cart. We was like, dude, the time we played together, man, we never get together to talk about it, but those are some really good times, and we were that close to being able to get to the big dance and, playing for something really big. But, those times we had back in the day, man, it's like when Wayne's saying the stuff, he used to say it all the time to me. He used to joke that same exact way he did just then about my speed, and he's still to this day still looking for it. But I ain't gonna lie, them days gone, man. You see this stuff right here coming in for a reason. But those are good days, man. It was, we can rewind time and do it again. I swear I'll do it the exact same way again, because those times would make these moments right here talking about it so joyful and exciting.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and we still have one quarter to get to. Hey, we've got to find out the origins of the Slash nickname. I think that would be fun. Let's dive into that a little bit more. And hey, did Joey Porter give you a haircut too back in the day? Because Big G got his hair.
No. I was the one with the clippers. I did all the haircut. Nobody did mine.
All right, we'll let that rest. We'll discuss the nickname when we come back here on the Squad Show. Stay with us. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And there's a stat that says it all. In a minute, I've been talking to you. Companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, fourth quarter, back here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show, and there's the pick. I was like, Wayne, are you going to bring the pick up here? Can we take Wayne? Let's get Wayne up. Can we get Wayne up individually?
Right there.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about, Big G.
Wayne,
That's
throw
what
it
I'm
back
talking
up. I
about,
got you
baby.
individually
Oh,
on
there
the
we go.
screen. There we
it
go.
is.
There
Look
we
at
go.
that.
Look.
Boy,
Oh
look. Hey,
man.
this is the part that I don't think we understand. Look at the yards of material
Yeah.
on each one of those suits. Yeah, that's about wow.
Man,
That's crazy.
that is absolutely
Well, you
incredible.
guys know today that they're wearing suits a little bit slimmer nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So I could have made 3 suits out of that suit.
You
I
could
had
have got a lot out of
at
that.
Yeah,
least
trust me.
less one out.
I've got a couple suits that I'm afraid to bring on the dance floor, if you know what I'm saying. You make
Come on,
one
man.
step and that pan is ripping. That pan is ripping.
Wow, that was a good days right there, man. I'm telling you, that's the way we used to do it on the road. Now this was the road games.
Mm.
Yeah, that was Tampa Bay. We put it on them that night.
Yeah,
too,
we did.
now.
We got him. Yeah, that was nice. Good stuff, G. Good memory. Good job. Bro.
That's
good.
nice. That's a little. That's a
good,
nice
bro.
little
That was good.
callback. Wayne Gandy, Kordell Stewart. I'm Tyler Feldman. Final quarter here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show on just a really fun Wednesday night having Slash on the show. And speaking of Slash, who's got the origin story of the nickname?
Man, it's I'm long-winded at times, but I'm gonna try to be as short as I can. So when I got drafted, I came in as a quarterback. They had 3 other quarterbacks on the team: Neil O'Donnell, Mike Tomczak, and Jim Miller. And I just remember being on the sideline in '95. That is when I got drafted. Receivers were getting hurt. Neil O'Donnell got hurt, and Rod Woodson got hurt. So at this time, we were 2-4. But during the practice, during the regular season, instead of me, because of the quarterbacks just sitting there waiting to get reps on scout team at quarterback, I got on special teams and was the guy on kickoff that was on the outside near the sideline, L1 and R1, right number 1 and left number 1. And I would run down just to get some cardio in, to punt team, being a wingman on the outside, going out there to recover, to cover the punt returner, to getting in the slot a little bit, helping out, to playing quarterback, doing all that good stuff. And I used to warm up for Neil O'Donnell, catching the football, putting myself in a position to run routes. And one day through that process of all the injuries, and we had nothing else, Neil said, "Hey, Stu, if we need you to play receiver, would you help?" I said, "Whatever, as Bill McCartney would say in Colorado, we're a team. Everybody looks the same." I was like, "Sure, no problem. I mean, I don't mind it." One day, after beating Willie Williams in practice, to beating Cornell Lake in practice, to beating Rod Woodson in practice, Greg Lloyd in the slot in practice, Cowher brought me in the office and he asked me, would you be willing to help out? I said, under one condition: if you give me an opportunity to keep number 10 and I compete for the starting job as a quarterback. And we shook hands on it, gentleman handshake on it. And he said, "Yeah, I'll give you a shot." One thing led to another. Now, just so you know, no one ever asked me to play wide receiver, and other than Neil O'Donnell asked me could I help out, because we were injured. So it wasn't a coach, it was a player. And when he asked me, I said, "Sure, no problem." And then once that happened, man, my first 2 snaps, just so everybody understands, was at quarterback. We played against Jacksonville. It was 3rd and 17. Neil O'Donnell was lined up to the left. The 3 other receivers were lined to the right. He was over there with Yancey Thigpen, quarterback draw. There wasn't a spy. I got a 20-yard gain, first down. The next week, we play against the Cleveland Browns. We sprint out 208 to Yancey when he goes in motion, try to throw it to him quick in the flat. I reverse field, threw it in the back of the end zone to Ernie Mills, and Myron, the late Myron Cope. He goes up high, he slashes, dashes, he can throw it, he can run it, and he can catch it. We got a slasher on our hands. Oh, wow. Well, sorry, you know how he talks, right? And then before you know it, Slash was born. That was Monday night, and from that point on, it kind of evolved life. And Coach Chan Gailey was there as a receiver coach, and Ron Earhart as offensive coordinator, and Coach Cowher. And they just got creative, and it just was a life of his own, and Slash was born. That was it.
I love how Myron Cope is the epicenter of the Slash nickname.
Oh, man. Oh, he went in. He said, "Oh, my God, guys, have you seen it? Slash and Dasher. He's catching, he's throwing. What else can he do?" And, that was it. That was it.
Oh, he is missed. He is missed.
Yes, he is.
And Wayne, despite your digs on Stu's speed, I feel like Slash, over the course of his career, a pretty fitting nickname for what he was able to do on the football field. Kind of ahead of his time in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, we had seen guys like a Randall Cunningham get in and play, and Kordell just kind of took that baton and built on it. Became more a fixture and more dangerous. It wasn't always a call run or breaking down play. He could play both, and I really just believe he was just before his time. But he had the arm strength, he had the size, he had the arm, he had the intellect to get the job done. Sometimes the struggles was just, as I said earlier, the coordinators don't know how to manage that kind of player. In 1996, 97, they had really, you was either running or you were throwing. And they didn't really know how to blend and have that kind of call sheet where you could have an effective guy. So, but he would always bail you out. That's the thing about it. As a tackle, you gotta have,
absolutely,
that can bail you out sometimes because it's a tough job out there on those ends. And
yes, it is, especially the blind side.
I don't ever like to get into those. People like to compare eras, but the one thing about my era was there was some true dogs that used to rush the quarterback.
Bruce Smith,
and you made your money as a tackle being able to do it one-on-one. Yeah. The tackles had to block one-on-one. The guards and centers, they ganged up together. But you couldn't stay in the league, and you needed that quarterback to see that you don't got beat off the snap. And I'm not going to get I can't get back there. You're going to have to bail me out on this one.
Well, gee, why don't you go ahead and tell how it was when the guy couldn't run? And that would happen. If you want to go that, let's go the other way around. Tell a story so they can really. But yeah, man, I had to help. One thing I know for sure is there's a clock in my head. We can sit up here and draw up the most beautiful plays in the air conditioning room after lunch, drinking your Diet Coke or a nice cold drink of lemonade, and say how this is supposed to work on the board. But when you know that it's a tough outing that day for somebody on the offensive line or the whole group for the sake of conversation, the back may help when that week he's supposed to give a chicken wing of a chip off the edge and he doesn't do it, and Wayne or the other tackle is waiting for it and it's not there, that means that rush angle is a little bit tighter than normal. And so now I have to be conscious of it too, without looking at it, but peripheral vision and instinctually seeing it. I have to know that I got to step up to the soft spot, and sometimes that soft spot is a little bit tighter than I want it to be at times, in a perfect world, if that makes sense. And so sometimes, I ain't gonna lie to you, I would see a guy open, but I would see one of my guys having a tough time. I just got to go, because I know if I go, it's going to stop that dude that beat him on that last play from feeling as if he could just go do him again like that, because sometimes we got to help each other. And sometimes, I'm gonna be honest with you, I did it without even looking downfield. Sometimes I just took off because I said, if that's happening more than once or twice, I got to help my man out. I got to help him out. I have to. And it wasn't a conversation that we had. I just knew it was something that I had to do to keep him honest. And once that happened, that slowed them down. That kept them in front of our offensive linemen or even the back for the sake of conversation. And they either slowed their rush coming off the edge as a nickelback because they know I would go around on the outside and give him 10 or 15, or he would rush real hard. And, I end up in the check down real quick. So the ability to move, and I say it as a coach now, right? I'm almost talking as if I'm talking about myself playing back. The ability to be able to move really made life easy. The problem became, as Wayne so eloquently said earlier, is you get these dudes that come in that favor their system and not the players. When you favor the system and that's more of your baby than the guys on the field, then that becomes a problem. And that's where you find out where those teams that have success, and you hear those coaches talk, they always talk about the players. They never talk about their system, right? Even though New England always say the Patriots way, right? You find some of those players that play really good within how they work together there to go somewhere else, and you never hear from them ever again. Because for some reason, they figure it out to find these players to do it a certain way. They can do it, they play, they have success, and they win. Sometimes you get these guys out here that think they're the reason, And it's a 50-50 thing. You got to make sure the talent on the field match the things that you want to call. And one thing I had that you cannot coach was the ability to outrun linebackers and sometimes DBs and get you a few more yards than expected. And some guys liked it, some guys didn't. But to win 48 games, what was the record that we had together?
48-29 as a starter.
We did something right. We just didn't bring the dance. We didn't go to the dance and James Brown or Michael Jackson that thing, but we had a good time, man. And again, if there's one thing I wish I could give them, all the guys that really put in that work, man, is my old lineman and those dudes. I gave him a TV one time when I made it to the Pro Bowl. G, you still got that flat screen?
They don't make that wiring no more.
It's in the same room with my Kordell Stewart jersey.
Yeah, man, that was one of my better years.
That was a nice gift, though. I appreciate that.
That was a great time, man. And I hate to be the one to get the chance to get the accolade and they can't celebrate it, so I had to do something. And I think this is the first time I heard G since I've been talking to him and knowing him said he don't have a TV no more. Last time I talked to him, he was still saying, and this may have been a year ago, that he still had it. But times change and you know how that goes. So
yeah.
Yep.
Hey, well, I got one more question for you, Kordell, before we wrap up the show. I always like to ask, so many fond memories that I have growing up watching the Steelers. My dad went to that 96 Super Bowl. I still have this Steelers crew neck sweatshirt where you put your arms like this and it reads Steelers in block letters. I should have worn it on the show tonight. But needless to say, how would you envision your Steelers legacy? How would you love to be remembered as a Pittsburgh Steeler?
Man. A guy that just gave himself to the team. It never was a thing for me to bring attention to myself when it came to things outside of what happens on that rectangular field, right? Between those 53 yards, sideline to sideline, to 100 plus yards from end zone to end zone. It's just a guy that gave 110%. The odds that I was up against, considering my talents and what everybody wasn't ready for, I still went out and gave 110%. Whether it was wide receiver sacrificing myself to help the team, knowing that if I would have gotten hurt, I wasn't thinking that way. But when I think back on it now, I wouldn't have gotten a chance to compete for a starting job as a quarterback in the National Football League, which was one of my dream opportunities. And being covered and kept by the man upstairs, I stayed healthy. I never really got hurt often. I'll say this one thing along with that, to really help you understand how it was with the guys. In 2000, I got hurt against in the Raiders game. I got my knee hyperextended, and we were up 7-0. And I remember going inside and I'm watching the game on TV, and I'm just seeing it, interception for a touchdown, and they got 17-7. And I'm in the locker room. I'm in the training room, had my foot up on this little shell, and the trainer was actually taping my knee to get me prepared to go. And I see Big G come through the weight room and coming in the training room. He's showing me the tape on his wrist. He's showing me the tape on his thumb and, all the tape. And then you see Big Jerome come in, he's got his tape, and you got Wayne Gandy, you got Dwayne Washington with his wrist, and you got Leathon Flowers. You got everybody, man, you come back in. And the thing I remember most in that moment in time, which I needed it, honestly, was the guys were really dialed in on needing me to be in with them. That's one thing I've always wanted to do and be a part of, was giving myself to the boys. You know what I'm saying? And do it unapologetically, without complaining if they took me out, to complaining when we were in, or celebrating too much when we were in, just wanting to see them happy and us win. That's all I wanted to do, was win. I didn't care how we did it. It could have been the ugliest win in the history of mankind. You tell me when the Steelers ever really had, going back to the 70s, pretty wins. It was always ugly. I mean, think about the Immaculate Reception. That was a pretty catch, but it was an ugly win in the sense of I didn't have to go. Right? So, I just want to say to the fan base, I appreciate them. Everybody, good, bad, or indifferent, the lovers or the haters. That's what makes a great story. But giving myself to my teammates in the team in that city, I'll do it again unapologetically, and it was the greatest time of my career to be able to give myself to that team and us have the success, even though it wasn't a Super Bowl. But you can't win them all. But you can sure damn have a good time to the point where we could talk about it like right now.
Well, Slash, we appreciate you hopping on the show tonight.
Yes,
Wayne,
sir.
any final thoughts since Man in the Middle's been doing a lot of the talking tonight, and rightfully so?
No, I just appreciate him coming on. He was the first person's home I went to that you had to take your shoes off.
That's my man. I knew I liked Kordell. Hey, Kordell, my Jewish mother would love you. That's the kind of talk that she'd be into, man.
You was supposed to tell that shit, G.
Kordell, you got those little plastic bags you stepped into for the shoes?
They were straight socks.
Yeah, socks.
They had holes in their socks. That wasn't a problem for me. But that was, guys came over, man. We had a good time.
Good time, though.
Good time, baby. Good time.
And we had a good time tonight. A reminder to like, subscribe. You can listen to the audio of tonight's show on the Locked On Steelers podcast channel, wherever and however you podcast. That'll do it, though, for this Wednesday night special edition of the Locked On Steelers Squad Show with the special guest, Kordell Stewart. And as always, Wayne Gandy, Big G. I'm Tyler Feldman saying good night, and here we go. We'll see you same time next week. Thanks, everyone.